Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a subject that I have to admit, it made me stop reading the research notes and just stare at a wall for a minute.
Uh-huh.
It starts with this statistic that's both terrifying and also, I think, incredibly important. In nature, something like 95% of animals reach their full potential.
A seed becomes a tree.
Exactly. A seed becomes the tree it's meant to be. A lion becomes a lion. But when you look at humans, the estimate in these documents is that only about 2% of us actually blossom.
It's a brutal number, isn't it? The 98 versus the 2.
It implies that the vast majority of us are just stopping halfway, operating at partial capacity. So consider this next 20 minutes or so your masterclass in, well, humaning.
A good way to put it.
We're looking at a pretty comprehensive manifesto on psychological health, success, and ethics. And helping me break all this down is our resident expert from Philosophy Hub, the Philosophy Cafe. It's really wonderful to have you back.
It's a pleasure. And this material, frankly, this is exactly why the Philosophy Cafe exists. Our whole mission is to take these big, sometimes dense ideas about living well and, drag them down to earth so people can actually use them.
Because that 2% statistic, it's not biology, is it?
No, it's about tools. The argument isn't that 98% of people are broken. It's that they don't have the instruction manual.
Right.
And just on that, before we dive in, if this conversation unlocks something for you listening, if you find value in these frameworks, I just gently invite you to support our mission at Philosophy Hub.
How can people do that?
Just like share, pass it on. It genuinely helps us keep digging for these kinds of insights.
Let's get into the mechanics then. The manifesto starts with the most basic unit of human action, the decision.
Right.
And usually, we hear things like trust your gut. This source is much more rigid. It offers a literal formula.
It does. A valid decision requires 3 specific components: science, information, and consultation.
And they're not the same thing, science and information.
Not at all. Science is the fundamental knowledge, the theory. You can have a PhD in economics, that's science. But information is context. Your degree won't tell you if the basement of a specific house floods.
That's the local data.
That's the local data. And consultation is that third leg, the outside perspective. If you're missing any one of these, you aren't making a decision. You're making a gamble.
And the 2%, they don't gamble.
They don't gamble with their lives, no.
The part that I found most practical, though, was the time of day technique. I've never seen decision-making mapped to a clock like this.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The premise is that our brains access different registers depending on our biological state.
So it's not just sleep on it.
It's more active than that. You process the decision at, 4 different times. First, when you wake up, when you're fresh, that's your logical brain. Second, at noon, when you're hungry.
Why when you're hungry? That seems counterintuitive.
Because that's the reality check. If the idea still sounds good when your blood sugar is low and you're a bit irritable, it has some real merit.
Okay, that makes sense. Then the afternoon, when you're happier.
But the fourth one is the kicker.
This is the one that sounded like a nightmare to me. Waking up for 10 minutes in the middle of the night.
Strategically, yes. Around 3 a.m. The source suggests that at that hour, your psychological defenses are down. Your conscious guard is asleep.
So you might access a fear or gut feeling that your daytime brain is just pushing down.
Exactly. It's like consulting a different version of yourself. The daytime CEO is optimistic, but the 3 a.m. you is your real risk manager.
You need the whole board of directors.
You do. If you only ask the morning you've got incomplete data.
Now, once we have that data, the source pivots to speed. And this really challenged my assumptions. I tend to think slower decisions are wiser.
And that's common. But this argues the opposite. Slowness is usually just fear in a costume.
Okay, fair.
Once you have the science, the information, and the consultation, delay offers no extra value. It only offers, comfort. The source says high-functioning people decide fast because they aren't afraid of being wrong.
Which leads directly into the 3 fears. These are the primary blockers, keeping that 98% of people, stunted.
Fear of making a mistake, fear of failure, and fear of other people's opinions.
That last one feels like the biggest one for most people.
It often is. And the cost is quantified in this really haunting analogy, the 8 years in 80 concept.
This one stuck with me. Can you break that down?
It suggests that because of these fears, because we're constantly breaking and second-guessing, many people live an 80-year lifespan, but they only experience about 8 years of actual living.
Wow.
The rest is just maintenance. It's waiting. It's repeating the same safe day over and over.
You're just running out the clock.
And the antidote is to fundamentally reframe what a mistake is. We're taught it's a sin, a moral failing. But look at the 2%. They have the longest lists of catastrophic failures.
So greatness actually implies error.
It has to. If you aren't making mistakes, you aren't expanding the perimeter of what you're capable of. The mistake is just tuition.
You pay it to learn. This links to the section on initiative. Be the first to dance, the first to say hello.
Be the starter, yes.
But there's a nuance here about imitation, the Japan exception.
This is so important. We're often told, never imitate, always be original. But post-war Japan, they knew they were technologically behind the West.
So they didn't try to reinvent the wheel.
Not at first. They copied Western models perfectly. They imitated until they caught up.
But they didn't stop there.
And that is the key. Imitation is a valid catch-up mechanism. If you're behind, copy the best until you're level. Then you innovate. If you stay in imitation, you're just a shadow.
It defines creativity as taking a recipe and just changing one ingredient, adding your own twist.
This is what makes us feel human. We need to add that twist.
So let's shift gears a bit. The psychology of connection, how we relate to others. The source goes way back to the first 14 months of life.
This is where the baseline for trust is established. And the source uses a visual metaphor that I find very, very useful.
The garden versus the thorns.
Exactly. If you have a secure attachment in those early months, your worldview is that the world is a flower garden. Yes, there are some thorns, you'll get scratched sometimes, but the baseline expectation is beauty.
And the other view
is that the world is a massive thorn patch that, if you're very lucky, might have a single flower hidden somewhere deep inside.
And if you see the thorn patch, you don't walk, you just freeze.
You wear armor, you stay home. And the source makes a really calculated argument here. The cost of mistrust is infinitely higher than the cost of betrayal.
See that again?
If you trust people, you will get hurt sometimes. That's a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
But if you mistrust everyone, you guarantee a life of paralysis. You're prepaying for a betrayal that might never even happen.
Speaking of betrayal, let's talk about forgiveness. For a lot of people, forgiveness feels like weakness, like you're saying what you did was okay.
Right. But this text makes a sharp distinction between forgiveness and tolerance, and it actually attacks tolerance.
It calls it a negative trait.
A trait of the needy, along with sacrifice. Tolerance implies you're just enduring something bad, gritting your teeth. That just breeds resentment. It's toxic.
So what is real forgiveness in this framework?
It's the knife metaphor. Someone betrays you, that's a knife in your side. Tolerance is leaving the knife in and complaining about the pain.
And forgiveness is?
Forgiveness is surgical. It's pulling the knife out, healing the wound, and then making sure it doesn't happen again.
So forgiveness can actually mean ending a relationship.
Absolutely. It's not about them, it's about your own healing. You can forgive someone and then decide to never speak to them again. It's about getting that foreign object out of your soul.
That's a huge distinction. It's not being a doormat, it's being a surgeon. To do that, though, you need to communicate. There's a concept here I love, the typewriter of the mind.
This one is so forgiving of how we actually think and speak. We have this idea that we have a fully written book in our heads, right?
That we know exactly what we think before we say it.
But the source says no. We're actually typewriters. We figure out what we think as we are speaking it.
I do this all the time. I'll start a sentence not knowing the end, and by the time I get there, I've discovered my own opinion.
That's healthy. That's functional. The problems are the dysfunctional styles. Placating, blaming, computing, that hyperlogic to avoid emotion, or just distracting.
And real success involves the persistence to keep typing until the thought is clear.
Exactly. The source mentions Napoleon Hill. When he wanted a job, he sent a telegraph every single hour.
Which, to be fair, would get you a restraining order today.
It absolutely would. But the principle stands. He didn't take no as the end. He saw it as not yet. He just kept communicating.
Let's move to the internal machinery. Discipline and the self. We can't talk about this without talking about the cookie experiment.
The marshmallow test, yes. Kids are offered one treat now, or two if they can wait.
And the results are just staggering.
They are. The kids who could wait, who could delay gratification, scored on average over 200 points higher on their SATs years later.
It's not just willpower, is it? It's about seeing a future version of yourself.
It's the ability to trade present pleasure for future good. The source uses this analogy of the 7-day dollar.
Right.
You have $7 for the week. You can spend it all on Monday. Great Monday, but then you have 6 days of misery. Or you spend $1 a day. It's less of a rush, but you're sustained.
Successful people are just better at seeing Friday on Monday.
They are. And this leads to a really profound definition of freedom. The term used is azadegi, being free-spirited. But it's not do whatever you want.
It's a specific psychological ratio, the 5-95 rule.
This is so powerful.
Yeah.
A truly free spirit looks at the world and sees that 5% of things are genuinely good, 5% are genuinely bad, harmful, evil, and the other 90%
It's just sucks.
it's just different, not good, not bad, just variety. The trap that makes us miserable is we try to jam that 90% into the good or bad boxes.
So Azadegi is the freedom from having to judge that 90%.
Precisely. You accept difference without feeling threatened by it, and that frees up a massive amount of mental energy.
Which successful people preserve in other ways, like habits. The shower analogy.
Right. You don't wake up and debate, should I shower today? What are the pros and cons? You just do it. It's on autopilot. High achievers put the heavy lifting exercise reading on to autopilot. They use habit, not willpower.
One more point here on the self. Integrity. The source takes a very biological view of lying.
It sees lying as a physiological stressor. When you lie, it triggers stress across about 30 different points in your body. It changes your heart rate, your skin response. That's how a polygraph works.
So integrity isn't just a moral badge, it's a health strategy.
You are physically healthier when you are honest. The body doesn't like the dissonance. It eats away at you.
Let's talk about that body, the physical vessel. We all know we should sleep, but this source attacks the way we think about sleep.
We see it as passive, like turning off a computer. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
But it's not passive at all.
It's a highly active brain state. You need 7.5 hours. That's 5 90-minute cycles. But here's the test for quality that surprises people. The dream test.
I always thought remembering dreams meant you had a good, deep sleep.
The source argues the opposite. If you wake up remembering a vivid dream, it often means your sleep was too light or fragmented. Deep, restorative sleep should feel like a blank. You close your eyes, and then pop, it's morning.
And to get that, we need total darkness.
Total darkness.
Yeah.
And we need to drop the whole night owl identity. The source suggests that people who insist on staying up all night often do it as a form of hiding, a way to avoid the demands of the day.
A controversial take. What about exercise? It specifies sport, not just working out.
Particularly for young people. And it emphasizes team sports over solo sports.
So basketball over tennis.
Exactly, because basketball teaches you that you can play your absolute best and still lose because the team failed.
Or that you can have a bad day and the team can carry you.
It simulates society. It teaches shared failure and shared victory. You don't get that on a treadmill.
And the most intimate part of the vessel, relationships. There's a ladder of development here.
It starts with dependency, which is fine for an infant. The problem is, many adults stay there looking for a partner to complete them.
Which isn't love.
It's parasitism. The goal is interdependency. Two fully formed, independent people who choose to be together. I don't need you to breathe. I want you to witness my life.
A much stronger bond.
Much stronger.
Yeah.
And within that, the source is clear. Sexuality is a vital biological need. Repressing it, it argues, inevitably leads to neurosis.
It's all about balance, which brings us to the summit, meaning and self-actualization.
And here we have to distinguish happiness from pleasure.
Which we confuse all the time.
We do. Pleasure just restores balance.
Yeah.
You're hungry, you eat a burger, you feel normal again. It fixes a deficit. It gets you back to zero.
And happiness?
Happiness or joy comes from growth, from challenge,
Right.
from climbing the mountain, not just sitting at the base. You have to earn it through expansion.
And that takes us right back to that 2% statistic. The reason only 2% make it is that the climb is hard. A human has to choose to become fully human.
We have to overcome our programming, our desire for safety.
Part of that climb is service, but framed as a wealth mindset.
It's the transaction of value.
Yeah.
To be truly successful, you have to give more value than you take. If I sell you something for $10, you need to feel like you got $20 of value.
It's doing good because it is good.
Exactly. Not for a reward in heaven or a favor in return. That's not kindness. That's just business. True character is doing the right thing when there's no payout.
Finally, hope. All of this requires hope, but the source warns against blind optimism.
It will all work out is a dangerous phrase if you don't have a plan. That's just wishful thinking.
So what's real optimism?
It's looking at the glass and saying, I am grateful for the water in the bottom half. I see the top half is empty, and here's my plan to fill it.
It acknowledges the deficit. It acknowledges reality.
The good and the bad, yes. And then it takes action.
We've covered a massive amount of ground. If you had to synthesize this into a single mental image for our listeners, what would it be?
An architecture. A house. You need the foundation of the physical vessel sleep sport. You need the walls of psychological tools, decision-making, handling failure, and you need the windows of connection, trust, forgiveness.
And the roof is the meaning.
And if you try to put the roof on without the foundation, the whole thing just collapses.
As we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with that final analogy from the source, the car.
The brake and the gas. It's the perfect summary. Most of us are driving through life with one foot slammed on the gas. That's our desire, our ambition. We're pushing so hard.
But we aren't moving.
Because our other foot is slammed down on the brake. That's our childhood trauma, our fear of mistakes, our fear of what other people think. So the engine is screaming, the car is shaking, but we're stationary.
And the solution isn't to push harder on the gas.
No, you're already pushing hard enough.
Yeah.
The whole goal of this deep dive, the goal of the Philosophy Cafe, is to help you gently.
Yeah.
Just release the brake.
That's where the movement happens.
That is where the 2% live.
Listeners, if that image of the car resonates with you, please consider supporting the work of Philosophy Hub, the Philosophy Cafe. These insights take real work to find, and your likes and shares really do help keep the conversation flowing.
We appreciate every bit of support. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Check your tires, release that brake, and we will see you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.